Okay, this is the day after I first trimmed the pony and started seeing the true foot inside the mass of distortion. And I want to share something with you about besides finally getting a true image of the foot as it should be. See, that hoof capsule can grow in all kinds of distorted ways around the internal foot. Now, what I have here is I have taken my my foot that I show you in the first video, and I have covered it with clay. I built me a hoof capsule on this. And the first thing I want you to notice here is that now the blue represents the wall that grows down to where it meets up with the sole. The yellow represents where the sole, the wall and sole meet and then grow down to the ground together. Okay? Now, the first thing I want you to know that this has to fit just perfectly, very snugly, no distortions, be the same shape as the internal foot. And of course, once a foot is distorted and has all kinds of odd growth, you can't just cut it and trim it and rasp it that way. So again, as I always say, we're not cutting, trimming, rasping a good foot. We're growing a good foot. And how we do that is we understand and we have an image in our heads of that internal foot. And then in our minds, we understand and know how this hoof wall, where the bulb should be, how the hoof wall should be, things like that. So I want to explain something that I've found, okay, which is we don't just go by sight, but we also can go by feel. And sometimes you can understand a lot more by feel than you can by sight. And what I mean by that is, and I found this out on my horse Valor, that when I would put my hand right here, okay, I would feel, it would feel smooth to here, and then I would feel this bulge that bulged out like this. So now this hoof capsule that I have put on this foot here, it fits perfectly. Okay, and it's got some slight differences in it than the hoof capsule that was actually on the foot, because the hoof capsule on the foot, he did have some issues, but his hoof capsule did fit very nicely around the rim of the internal foot. But he had some of what we call coronary band jamming. Now let me explain to you what coronary band jamming is. Now, what happens is, you see how this foot is. You see how the walls are rounded, and as long as the horse gets a lot of movement, as the foot grows, he will maintain the shape. But as soon as the horse doesn't get enough movement, these walls start to extend out beyond where they should be right here. And the leverage and the torque on the wall starts pulling the wall out in the way. As it does, a lot of times this sole will just stretch right with it. And so the hoof can become all kinds of distorted. Well, another thing that happens is, when the walls grow too long and the horse is just walking on the wall alone, the wall, instead of being able to grow out and wear off, be trimmed off, whatever, the wall then, because of all the pressure, will start jamming up this way. So that you look here at the blue, you see how much hoof capsule is. This is the exact amount of hoof capsule this horse should have had right here. Okay, and I'm following right with the coronary band here where it goes. Okay, now what happens is, then in this part of the hoof, it starts shoving up this way. And that's what we call coronary band jamming. And what it is, it's actually adding excess hoof into the capsule up above where the wall and sole meet. So it's only supposed to be this wide. Next thing you know, it's clear up to here. It can be clear up to here. This can be straight across instead of kind of having an angle here. It can be straight across like so. As well, back here, there's only supposed to be a certain amount of hoof wall in the buttress from here to here. Okay, and what happens is that will also grow up. Now, on a lot of horses, it does different things. You know, it can eventually collapse forward, you'll have a flat foot, or the horse can just retain sole and grow frog. And besides also getting wall jammed up into here, you'll also have wall and sole growing down this way. And one thing it does is that, now I'm going to try and explain this. Okay, when this wall starts jamming up into here, it will literally lift the internal foot up and start stretching it away from where it's attached internally in here, stretching it away from the bottom of the internal hoof capsule, see, and it will start stretching the skin on these bulbs. See, your bulbs should be nice and round and full, and what will happen is this periopal skin that covers your bulbs, okay, all this will just start stretching upwards, and you wind up having bulbs that are clear up here, because the excess capsule in the hoof right here has grown up and it has lifted the back of the internal foot. And a lot of times also what that will do is it will also pull the toe back in the capsule. But the foot is moving in the capsule, but all this is happening so gradually and slowly that you don't realize it. And the next thing you know, you've got bulbs instead of, look where the bulbs are in this horse, nice and low for nice cushioning, because that's, you know, right connected to the frog there. And so this all, the internal foot is lifting up in the capsule, and it's just stretching all this skin right here. And so you may look at the bottom of the foot and it may even look like that, but in reality, the internal foot has been shoved up in the capsule itself. Okay, so one way that I tell a good foot is, I mean, this is just one way, as far as the toe wall and the wall in the toe, is I feel like this. You feel that? Feel that there? Okay, when you have a foot that has a laminar wedge, or the wall, instead of being nice and smooth and connected to the internal foot here, the wall has gradually over time stretched forward and got all distorted, but it's hard to tell sometimes. But what you will feel, and this is not in every single case, but in many cases, you will be able to run your hand along this wall and feel where it deviates from being nice and smooth. See? That should just be nice and smooth right there. Now, I'll show you Toby's hoof capsule. Let me wrap this up. Now, he had a very good toe. Here, let me get this so you can see it. Okay, so if I was to run my hand along that, okay, I can feel where the hoof is good. Right here. It's very smooth in the toe. See right there? Very smooth. I can feel it when I'm holding that horse's foot in my hand like this. I can feel it. Okay, now, as I'm feeling it, I feel this side over here feels very good, but right here I feel a little deviation. Okay, so I know there's a problem right in here because I can feel it. Okay, and as we look at the hoof capsule here, you will notice, now he had some of this coronary band jamming that I'm talking about. That means there was excess capsule added from here up into here. You can really tell if you look inside the capsule, you can see where in fact, I'll show you, because if you look, and I'll show you this again later, but right along here, in the hoof capsule, this is called the coronary band groove. That's because that's where the coronary band sits, and it's supposed to sit in there very relaxed, okay? And so when there's coronary band jamming, okay, or wall jamming, it's also smashing and shoving up the coronary band itself. And when you look in his hoof capsule here, you can see where in the front, where I'd been taking his toe back and there was no leverage on the wall. And as you see, this is one of the few horses here in Kansas. He happened to live in a big pasture next to with a bunch of rocks and hills, and so he kind of self-trimmed his own toe there. And so he had, because I was taking back the toe and because he was self-trimming his toe, he did not get any jamming right here. And so when you look at the coronary band groove right here, it's very round, okay, and very precisely fitted to the shape of what the coronary band is and stuff. But when you look at the sides here, you can see where it's not rounded, it's very smashed. And the wall right in here was really jamming up into his coronary band. Now you can see too by looking at the bottom of the foot here that though he was self-trimming here, he had grown out here in what they call the pillar area. And so he was walking on his wall right in here and it was jamming up in here. And so at the same time, you can look at the rings in the hoof and you can see how they're not, I'm trying to get that so you can see it. You can see how they're not level, how they go around like this and then they go up. See? So you want to pay attention to the rings in the hoof because that'll tell you a lot too. That'll tell you where the horse has walked on the wall too much and has shoved hoof wall up into the coronary band. So the object is to relieve the constant leverage on the wall so that eventually the hoof will expel the extra wall that's been added into this area out the bottom of the foot. It will relax the coronary band so that it will fit the internal foot perfectly, and you will have the perfect amount of wall right in here. And the perfect amount of wall is what fits this internal foot. Okay? So I'm going to take the clay off of this. I had fun building this, by the way. So we're going to remove the frog here first. Oh, there we go. There's our frog. Okay, then we're going to, now this, again, this yellow part here, and here's something you need to realize. This yellow part here, where I put yellow instead of blue clay, the blue clay goes down to the end of the foot, and then the yellow is where it meets the sole and grows to the ground. Now, you have to have a very strong foot right in here that is very form-fitted to this so that it will maintain the sole behind the wall. Okay, that's why I have quit putting a real strong Mustang roll on stuff, because what it does, it may make your foot look like it's a good foot for a bit, but ultimately what it does is it weakens this part of the wall so that, you know, I mean, that's right where all the weight of that horse is, right? So if the wall is really thinned down right there and you've only got the softest part of the wall at the very base of the foot, the weight of that horse and the pressure of him walking around is going to continue to push this out. So I don't put a real strong Mustang roll on there, and one of the reasons why is because I found that a Mustang roll is not something you can just rasp. That a true Mustang, a true wild horse, literally keeps his hooves so trimmed that they naturally start to, the horn tubules naturally start to curl under like this. And I don't know if you can see that, or I can hold it up right on this foot, but you can see where, because I was keeping the toe back on him and getting very good connection and nice wall, that literally in the way that he was wearing the toe, do you see that there? Okay, literally in the way he was wearing the toe, the wall right here was actually starting to curl under like so. So, excuse me. So we want to get this wall firmly connected all the way around so that it will retain this sole in here, so that the sole can grow to its optimum thickness. Okay, so we're going to take this piece off here. Remember, this is the piece where the wall coming down meets the sole, and then maintains that sole behind it, right there. Okay, you see there? So naturally, you don't want to just super thin this out just so you look like you have a Mustang roll, you know. Okay, so we're going to take, now we're going to take the sole off. Oh, there we go. There's our sole. Okay, now we're going to take the bar. Now see how the bars, I want you to see what your buttress of your heel truly looks like. See, it's hidden behind this periopal skin. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to remove the upper part of the hoof capsule. Oops, aw, my foot fell apart. Okay, and there we have the internal foot. See, that's how that's supposed to fit, that capsule. Now I'm going to put this down for a second. We're going to look at this. It fell apart, and my bar fell off. Just a minute. Now, how is my bar on there? Okay. Just a second here. Stick you back. Okay, so this is what our hoof capsule looks like. Right here. You can kind of see. See? Alright, so that was fun. Alright, so I'm going to put my clay in my little bag here so that it doesn't all dry out. Okay, so now another reason I did this is because I want you to see how this hoof capsule grows from and fits to that internal foot. And so the more we know about the true foot, then we will just naturally recognize distortion. So you gotta look at these feet. See, and this is what I've been doing. I've just been looking at this foot. You know, I learned something. I think I've seen it, but then I learned something new about it all the time. Okay, and getting a real image of this in my mind and how the hoof wall grows from it, how the frog, this is the frog corium from which the frog grows. This is the sole corium from which the sole grows. Okay, this is the coronary band right here from which your wall grows. And these lines right here, this is the lamina, which the wall connects to the lamina, and it grows just like your fingernail, down like here, meets up with the sole right there, and continues on to the ground, where it needs to be trimmed to whatever level the sole grows to. You can allow a little bit of sole to build up, but not much. And I'm talking about the sole that has already deadened and could be exfoliated, but not much, because you don't want the horse walking on the wall, because it will start to jam excess wall into this area right here, and it will literally push the internal foot up like so. And this is what happened to my Jackie pony here. Okay, so alright, so I have Jackie pony here, and I trimmed her a couple days ago. And as I said, you know, you want to be able to feel this wall. Now, you don't want to feel this, of course, because of course the wall, you know, grows from here, but you're going to feel a smooth wall all the way around, form fitted. Okay, so you feel that foot. You don't just look at that foot, you feel it. Okay, so I have Jackie here, and I'm going to try and show you what I mean about how you can feel the distortion. And let's see here. Okay, you can see. Okay, when I run my hand right here, okay, I can feel that right in here, the foot is good, right to about there. But then I feel this big bulge right here. And this is the distortion in her foot. It goes clear from up here all the way down to there. And of course, when I first trimmed her, as I showed in the first part of this trim, she had gradually just gotten excess wall in between here and here, as I just showed you, that had shoved the internal foot up. And so today what I'm doing, I'm just going to relieve the wall just a little bit more, because in just a couple of days the wall has already come down a little, and she needs that wall relieved some more, because what we want the internal foot gradually, and I soaked her feet because a lot of times you're going to need moisture for this foot to change and for this jamming to come out of the capsule. Okay, see, she's jammed very bad all up in here. And the periopal that's connected to her little bulbs had stretched right along with the wall that grew up here. So I'm going to want to soak her feet every day just to get this capsule to loosen up and to start coming down and excising out the bottom here. Okay, but today, so again, you know, put your hands on your horse's feet and try and feel where, like on Valor, when I do it, he'd be smooth all the way down to about there, and then I'd feel this big ledge right here. So we develop an eye for the internal foot to try and see the true internal foot in this horse, and then see where the hoof capsule is deviating from that. If we know the true foot, we will know the distortion. Okay.